little food.
Hello everyone! Struggling to write your research paper? Don't worry, in this video we'll show you how to write a clear discussion, a strong conclusion, and a concise abstract. But before it, let us introduce ourselves. I'm Elizabeth and Butar. I would like to explain about discussion, and my partners are...
I'm Disscussion. I would like to explain the summary and suggestion, and my partner.
My name is Maria Manaru. I would like to explain about how to write abstract, and my partner.
I'm Melanie Franciscan Simanjuntak. I would like to explain about conclusion.
Stay with us to make your writing more effective.
Keep on watching!
Anda ingin sukses? Anda ingin maju? Anda ingin berhasil? Ya, jangan menyerah. Tekun, giat, semangat. Seperti saya ni hasilnya.
Have you ever read or want to write research paper or a thesis and found yourself asking, what does all this data actually mean? That's exactly why the discussion section exists. So it's not just about presenting numbers or repeating results, but it's where we analyze, interpret, and make sense of the findings. The discussion section serves an important role in research. It helps us understand how the results fit within existing knowledge. Does the study confirm previous theories? Does it challenge them? What do the findings mean for the future research or real-world application? These are the key questions that the discussion section answers. Now, how do we structure a strong discussion section? First, we start with a summary of key findings, highlighting the most significant results. Then, we compare the findings with previous studies. Do they align or do they introduce new perspectives? And after that, we interpret the result, explaining why they matters and what they reveal about the research topic. But no study is perfect, so it's also important to acknowledge any limitation, whether it's a small sample size, external factors, or potential biases. Finally, we conclude with a suggestion for future research, identifying areas that still need exploration. However, many researchers make mistakes in the section. Some simply repeat their results without adding any interpretation. Others make claims without evidence or ignore findings that contradict their hypothesis. And one of the biggest mistakes is failing to address limitation, which can make the research seem incomplete. In short, the discussion section brings research to life. It's where raw data turns into meaningful insight. By connecting findings to the bigger picture, it positions the study within the academic field and provide direction for future research.
Now that we understand the essential structure of a well-written discussion section, let's take a look at how these elements are applied in an actual research study. As an example, we will examine a thesis titled Developing English Listening Songs Material Based on Scientific Approach for the 10th grade of SMA Imelda Medan. So this thesis follows the research and development or R&D method, which means it focuses on designing, testing, and refining educational material. Key conclusion of this study is that 10th grade students require well-developed English listening skills, especially for descriptive text. And to address this need, the researcher developed English listening song materials through a 6-phase process. First is gathering information and data. 2. Analyzing data. 3. Designing materials. 4th. Identifying proposed text structure and linguistic features. 5th. validating materials through expert views, and the sixth is revising materials and producing the final version. Okay, the second one is need analysis. To ensure that the English listening song materials were relevant for students, a need analysis was conducted. This was done through a questionnaire to 28 randomly selected 10th grade students of SMS Imelda Medan. Response from the questionnaire helped determine what students need, what they lack, and what they want in their learning process. Okay, in target needs, according to Hutchinson and Waters in 2014, target needs are divided into three aspects. First is necessities. Necessities refer to what students must know to function effectively in English listening, and the results show that's on the table. And the second one is lacks. Lacks, it means the gap between student current abilities and what is required. So the findings indicated the most students were at beginner to intermediate level in listening. And the teacher also confirmed that students need more listening practice to improve their skills. And there is once students expected that listening practice was useful for we can see in a table. And the third one is learning needs. Learning needs focus on how students prefer to learn. Okay, so there are 3 points like input, procedures, and description of material. After conducting the needs analysis, we identify the appropriate English listening materials for students. The next step was to develop an English listening songs ebook. So this 2-fit was designed to match both students' needs and learning objectives. It was customized to fit the syllabus and textbook used by the teacher while aligning with core and essential competencies. The design follows the 2013 curriculum, which applies the scientific approach. So let's go to the 5 steps of this approach. First is observing. This first step is observing. So before students engage in listening activities, the teacher provide opportunities for observation. For example, students listen to the song photographed by Ed Sheeran. They observe key elements by reading, hearing, and analyzing the lyric. And the next is questioning. The second step is questioning how students develop their critical thinking skills by asking and answering questions about the song. Experiments. Students experiment with what they have learned. They complete listening tasks such as filling in missing lyric or identifying keywords in a song. So this step helps them to apply their listening skill in a practical way. And the next step is associating. In the associating step, students analyze information and find patterns. They compare different song lyrics, identify common themes, and draw conclusion about the meaning of the song.
And the last is communicating, so it includes a few tasks that allow students to practice their writing skills and convey the information learned about the conceptual understanding or conclusion in form of listening song.
Now let's move on to revision. After expert validation, the developed English listening materials were revised based on specific criteria such as linguistics, process, content, and layout. The validation results were expressed as a percentage. The experts provide valuable suggestions to improve the quality of English listening songs materials ebook. The first draft required linguistic correction, content adaptation, and layout improvement. Mr. Indra suggests refining grammatical aspect and answering the materials better with the learning objectives. And Mrs. Mardiana recommended improving the layout and incorporating more video as teaching materials. And now we move on to final project. Once the necessary revision were made and approved, the final project was successfully complete. The listening materials were designed using Canva and tailored to meet student needs. The final version, considered suitable for classroom, used to develop in response. Now we move on.
Okay, the next is conclusion. Before we talk more about the conclusion, we must know what is the conclusion section. The conclusion is the final part of a scientific paper that summarizes the key research findings and their significance. This section helps readers understand the broader impact of the study. The conclusion is an important part of your paper where you distill your study and give the paper a sense of finality. A good conclusion encourages a reader to appreciate your work in light of the bigger picture. The purpose of conclusion is to reinforce the research purpose and key questions, summarize major findings, discuss implications of the study, and the last is provide a closing thought without introducing new ideas.
Okay guys, we can see the picture of thesis. The title is Teacher's Questions in Teaching Recount Text by Using Scientific Approach in SMPN 3 Pangururan. The research design of this data use a qualitative research design. Now, as you can see in the picture above is an example of the conclusion. For the first, restarting the purpose and focus of the research. The conclusion sections begins by restating the main focus of the research, which is the use of teacher questions in the learning process of recount text using the scientific approach. The author also mentions the main aspects analyzed, namely the types of questions used during learning. The second is summarizing the main findings. This section presents the research results. As we can see the picture categorizing the types of teacher questions, which is managerial questions, rhetorical questions, closed questions, and open questions. It explains how these questions are used in three phases of learning: beginning, middle, and end. The third is linking to the concept or theory use. This section explains that the scientific approach in teaching recount text has been used fully following the 5 stages: observing, questioning, experimenting, associating, and communicating. This section also connected to the role of teacher questioning in encouraging student participation during learning. The next is display supporting data. The conclusion is reinforced by the data on the percentage of use of each question type. The last is ending with a clear statement of conclusion. This section closes with the conclusion that the scientific approach is really applied and the teacher's questions have an important role in learning recount text.
So the next, I would like to explain about abstract. So what is an abstract in academic writing or scientific writing? So an abstract is a brief summary of the entire research paper, designed to give readers an overview of the study. It is usually consists of 150 words until 300 words and determines whether a reader will engage with the full of paper. So the purpose of an abstract consists of several. The first is provide a concise summary of the research, and the second one help readers quickly determine the study's relevance, and the third one facilitate indexing in academic databases. Talking about the types of abstract consists of several. The first is indicative abstract, which provides an overview without detailed results, and the second one is informative abstract, which includes objectives, methods, results, and conclusion. The next is critical abstract, which evaluates or critiques the research, and number 4, descriptive abstracts, which describes the research without mentioning result, and the last one, highlight abstract, which emphasizes the findings in an engaging way. So now we talk about the structure of an effective abstract. The first is background and objective. So the background and objective explain why the research was conducted, and the second, methodology, which will summarize the research design and method used, and the third one, key findings. So in key findings, highlight the most important result, and the fourth, conclusion and implication, which is summarize the study's impact. So if you want to write abstract, so we have to avoid a mistake in abstract writing. The first is exceeding the word limit. The second is using too much technical jargon. The third one is including unnecessary details. And the last one, not accurately reflecting the study's content. So a well-written abstract makes research more accessible to a broader audience.
A good abstract should contain the purpose of the study, the method that used in the study, and then the result of the study. So here is an example of a well-structured abstract analysis. The first is the yellow arrow points to the objective of the study, which is to determine the readability level of reading text in the creative English textbooks for 7th grade students. A good abstract should clearly state the purpose of the research in the opening sentences, just like in this example. The second, the red arrow highlights the methods used in the study. The research employs a descriptive qualitative method, and data collection is conducted through document analysis. The study utilizes the flash reading is formula and the flash reading is score as instrument to assess readability levels. This section is crucial because it informs readers about how the research was conducted. The blue arrow indicates the result of the study. According to the flash reading is formula, the readability classification of the reading text varies. 6 texts are classified as very easy, 8 as easy, 3 as fairly easy, 2 as fairly difficult, and 2 as difficult. The findings suggest that only 2 texts in the creative English textbook are considered difficult for 7th grade students. By including these 3 key components, which is objective, methods, and results, the abstract effectively summarizes the study in a clear and concise manner.
From today's discussion, we can conclude that in the discussion, conclusion, and abstract section are essential in scientific writing. It's serving a distinct purpose.
The abstract is the brief summary of the entire research, including the background, objectives, methods, key findings, and conclusion usually placed at the beginning of the thesis. The discussion analyzes and interprets the research, explaining their significance, comparing them with the previous study, and addressing possible limitations typically found after the research section. The conclusion summarizes the key findings, ensure the research questions, and highlight the study contributions without introducing new interpretations, appearing at the end of the thesis.
Oh my God! Wow!
Now let's summarize our material. Discussion help us to analyze the findings and relate them to existing theories.
And the conclusion summarizes the main results and provides further indications.
Meanwhile, the abstract is a brief summary that reflects the core of the research as a whole. Hopefully, this explanation is useful in helping you understand the important role of each of this section in scientific work.
That's all our explanation. We say sorry for any mistakes in our videos. Thank you for listening us and see you